There have been so much that has been said about Bola Tinubu, the president of Nigeria. Some call him Ahmed Shongo Lere. They say he hails from a part in the southwest of Nigeria, but not Lagos State. And they say that he is not Tinubu. But then, who is Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Or who is Ahmed Shongo Lere? A journalist called Uday has been on the neck, or let's use a proper expression, on the trail of Bola Ahmed Tinubu for a long time. Well, the talk out there is that Uday is in support of Labour Party and he has been contracted by Peter Obi to do all of this. Well, is this true or not? And what about all details that have been produced and presented about Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Uday came up with some analyses and he did some kind of storyline of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Somehow it seems Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a mystery man. Are there no people that went to school with Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Of course, Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not appear or sound like an illiterate. He's a man who is sound. In fact, majority are saying that he has a background in accounting. Are there no people that Bola Ahmed Tinubu went to school with? Is Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to hold on to the Tinubu surname? Is it that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is afraid of telling people that my surname used to be Shongo Lere, Ahmed Shongo Lere, but now I am Bola Ahmed Tinubu? What is really happening? What is going on here? Back in those years, a friend, like a junior brother, I'm talking about journalist Dele Momodu. He wrote a piece where he berated Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He said a lot of things, and one of the things he said is this: I do not understand how a man like you, whose mother, real mother, passed away, you could not go there. You had to send people on your behalf to bury your mother because you need to keep that lie. Do you so much dislike and hate your heritage, hate your mother? Well, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I want you to stay put from the beginning of the video to the end of it, as we are going to listen to today, where he spoke about the trail of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or is it Shongo Lere? And of course, the substance trading, trafficking, heroin, etc. All of this has been attached to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let us hear him. But before then, like and share this video. Tap on the subscription button, turn on the notification bell if you have not done so. If you are just coming across this channel, tap on the thanks button to encourage us to do more. Let's get right into it.
On October 11, 1990, federal agents from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration knocked on the front door of 460 Taft Place in the city of Gary, Indiana. This city and its 77% African-American population were witnessing explosive growth in one of the only industries guaranteed to boom under such difficult circumstances. 42-year-old Lee Andrew Edwards was one of the entrepreneurs who had found a place in the heroin trafficking business, and by all accounts, he had done very well for himself. He was later sentenced to life in prison, but not before something about his business operation came to the fore. Federal investigators had determined that Edwards' heroin supply came from a Nigerian drug dealer in Chicago called Abiodun Agbele. Abiodun had earlier agreed to work for the feds in exchange for lighter sentencing, and as part of the plea deal, he revealed everything he knew about the heroin trade in Chicago. Located at the junction of 4 states with a combined population exceeding 27 million at the time, Chicago was a key trafficking hub in the American heroin trade. And as it turned out, the wholesale trade of an especially potent form of heroin from Southeast Asia in 1990 Chicago was controlled by Nigerian criminal gangs. Now, Agbele himself was no criminal mastermind, however. As he testified under oath, that honor belonged to a man who went by the name of Adegboyega Muiz Akonde, who was apparently his uncle. Shortly after Agbele's arrival in the US, Akonde had taken him under his wing and showed him the ropes of wholesale heroin trafficking. When Akonde returned to Nigeria in mid-1990, Agbele was left in charge of selling regular heroin shipments from Nigeria to Lee Edwards and delivering the profits to his uncle. In the meantime, the Nigerian-led heroin trade in Chicago fed an addiction epidemic that became so bad. Now, while all of this was going on, there was an interesting subplot taking place in the background. An accountant living in the Chicago area who worked for Mobil Oil Nigeria with a declared monthly income of $2,400 had just deposited over $1.4 million in the bank. He had no known source of income apart from his day job, but he had become friends with Akonde and Agbele, discovering one key piece of information in the process: drug dealers need accountants too. Soon, he will find himself holding and wiring money on behalf of a Nigerian heroin gang in Chicago. Fast forward a little bit to January 1992, and he will find himself the subject of a US federal investigation. Fast forward a bit further in the same year, and he would successfully run for office in Nigeria as a senator for Lagos West. Then another politician, also said to have ties to international drug trafficking, would successfully run for president in Nigeria on a controversial all-Muslim ticket in 1993. The election will be annulled, the politician will be jailed, and ultimately another Nigerian military coup will take place in 1994. This accountant will find himself exiled and working with the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, to unseat a kleptocrat military dictator. Then the dictator would unexpectedly drop dead one day in 1998, followed in quick succession by the jailed politician with the alleged drug links. This accountant would return to Nigeria a hero and successfully run for governor of Lagos in 1999. The kleptocrat dictator's erstwhile bagman, who helped launder over $4 billion, would become the accountant's new best friend, as an erstwhile Chicago drug gang's loader would start his new lifetime mission of capturing Africa's largest subnational economy and turning it into his personal fiefdom. A major political opponent of the accountant would end up strangled to death in his bedroom 10 months to an election which his chosen candidate would go on to win. Said opponent's son would subsequently be offered a cushy job working for that candidate. He would accept the offer. And if you're already struggling to follow this unlikely sequence of events, don't worry, it gets worse.
I want you to stay put till the end of this video, where Udeyin talked about late Jide Tinubu, Folashade Tinubu, Sheyi Tinubu. Well, these are the three children that we know. Obviously, there are other children from records. But how does this connect together? How come a man has become so mysterious that it is difficult for people to come out with evidences? And I mean, people who have gone to school with him, people who have done business with him, people who know him for who he is. The story is that he left home whilst he was young and he came to Lagos, and somehow he connected himself to Mogaji. And upon sighting and realizing that he is so intelligent and also trusted, they said Bola Tinubu passed a lot of tests of integrity. I mean, is he going to steal money? Is he going to elope with our money? When they realized that Bola Tinubu is a man to be trusted, a man who is skillful, and when I say skillful in the kind of business that they do, they decided to put more on him, and he carried out his task. And this is the journey of Ahmed Shongolere, now Bola Tinubu, into the world of narcotics. And eventually, he got into politics. He became a senator back in those years. Maybe some people do not know. Some people even still mistakenly refer to him as Senator Tinubu. I'm not talking about his wife, Remi Tinubu, here. But he ran out of Nigerian exile during the military era. He came back again. He became a governor. And now he has become president of Nigeria. And those ghosts of yesteryears are still trailing him. How is Bola Tinubu going to survive all of this? Is this going to dent him? Is he going to say, regardless of what you all have said, if I lived a life of lies, I am still here. I became your president, and there is nothing anybody can do. Let us proceed further to listen to more revelation about the dark past or the hidden past of Bola Tinubu.
So what do we know about this guy? We know that he spent 2 years gaining an associate degree at Richard J. Daley College in Chicago. From there, he proceeded on to Chicago State University, where he studied accounting, completing his bachelor's degree in 1979. Subsequently, his story appeared straightforward and prosaic. He got a job as an accountant at Mobil Oil Nigeria Limited in Fairfax, Virginia, got married to Oluremi, went on to have 3 kids with her, after 3 fruitful indiscretions, shall we say. In a 2016 interview with The News, Tinubu claimed that his break into the financial big time came at the Big Four consultancy firm Deloitte, where he supposedly received an $850,000 bonus as a result of his work on a single on-site engagement at the Saudi state-owned oil firm Saudi Aramco. Now, for anyone with even a passing knowledge of corporate consultancy pay, the categorical dishonesty in this claim needs no explanation. Now, in any case, one doesn't need an economic study or a Glassdoor salary survey to establish that Tinubu was blatantly lying about where the supposed $1.8 million sitting in his account came from. A document whose existence has long been teased and rumored but never quite properly dissected in public domain tells us all that we need to know. This document, which was obtained from the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division, contains damning information that Tinubu himself has spent the past 30 years trying to suppress, undermine, and ignore. This document contains comprehensive case files of a federal case from July 1993 containing clear and incontrovertible evidence that Bola Tinubu was once, in fact, a bagman handling and laundering proceeds of heroin trafficking for a Nigerian drug ring in Chicago. Was Tinubu attempting to hide money from US authorities by parking it in real estate once he realized that they were onto him? Where did the funds to carry out this transaction even come from at a time when his accounts were being frozen right, left, and center? Now, more real estate record searches raise more questions about several other parts of the known Tinubu story, including his self-characterization as a bedraggled hero of the democratic struggle and the Nadeko movement under General Sani Abacha. Now, in the interview mentioned earlier, he claimed that following Abacha's coup and his eventual exit from Nigeria, that he was forced to live almost like a pauper after the Nigerian government stripped him of all that he had. Describing his weary but triumphant return home from exile, he said, "I came home with 3 pairs of trousers and 3 jackets. Meanwhile, I had no Victoria Island home to return to. It had been taken over by Abacha. They dispossessed me of the house as well as my office on Saka Tinubu Street." Here was our tragic, impoverished hero of the Nadeko struggle, casually dropping the minor sum of $147,000 in 1995 for a 3-bedroom, 1,668 square foot home at 12625 Hillmead Station Drive, Prince George's County, Maryland. He would go on to trouser a tidy $13,000 in profit when he sold it on just 3 years later. He was at it again in 1997, putting down the modest sum of $491,465 on a 4,558 square foot property at 1708 Parkside Drive, Mitchellville, Maryland. Again, all cash, no mortgage. He'll go on to sell this property in December 2018 for $700,000. What is more, these weird transactions did not end in 1999 or stop with our hero and his wife. Even their 2 youngest children, Habibat Oyindamola Tinubu and Zainab Abisola Tinubu, got in on the act fairly recently. Aged 32 and 30 respectively, 2 of the 3 youngest members of Bola Tinubu's family have managed to escape scrutiny, mostly because the Freedom of Information Act in Nigeria is still much more aspiration than fact. Not so in America, where a plethora of services can pull up all kinds of records, including birthdays, criminal convictions, and real estate transactions. Especially real estate transactions, such as the ones where a 25-year-old with no known employment or source of income was able to pay $2,150,000 in 2014 for a deluxe condo at 55 Berry Street, Brooklyn, New York. Full and upfront cash payment again, no mortgage. Or real estate transactions where the 25-year-old's 22-year-old sister, who was fresh out of music school with no known source of income, was able to pay $2,400,000 in cash to buy a deluxe apartment at 255 Hudson Street, New York, using the 1-inch thick fig leaf that was a company that she herself owned. It appears that Bola Tinubu's good fortune could be genetically transmitted. I mean, what are the odds that the only junior accountant in the world to earn an $850,000 bonus on a single engagement will turn out to have children who can buy luxury real estate in New York for millions of dollars while being unemployed with no known source of income? Not great chances, but here we are. Now, in the course of researching this story, a name that kept coming up repeatedly as a comparison to Nigeria's Teflon Ashiwaju was a certain Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola.
Before we get carried away when we see rich people, we should know that there are certain things that could be attached to their wealth. How many people are aware that MK Abiola is actually involved in similar enterprise that Bola Tinubu allegedly got himself involved in? A lot of people do say Bola Tinubu is a drug baron, is a drug this, is a drug that. It wasn't really a drug baron, although he was involved in the transmission or laundering of proceeds, and he got his own share. It's not as if he was the one that is directly into it, but then that is not an excuse for whatever it is. This is the kind and type of world that we live in. It is not only Africans or Nigerians or Bola Tinubu or MK Abiola. There are a lot of very rich people who got their funds or are extremely rich today from some form of crime. It's just that their own criminal activities are kind of cleaned up and modernized, and at times there is no one yet ready to point out all of their dirts. Welcome back. This is not new. This story is out there and it's been repeated and analyzed more than once. But at the end of the day, this man, so mysterious, is the president of Nigeria. How he was able to fulfill, how he was able to achieve this, to some people might be a mystery. Some might say he's just a thief. But how is it that a thief is able to go about his enterprise, do whatever he does, and still eventually became the president of Nigeria? That's a question I'm sure that you might want to answer. Bola Tinubu, a man of mystery, with so much that has been alleged, so much accusation, many things have been put on him. Some said he cannot visit the United States of Nigeria. Some said, well, he can, he only forfeited and he did this. But now, Bola Tinubu, with the immunity as president, maybe he will want to visit the United States, but he has not yet visited in the United States. But I don't think anything will be done to him if he visits the United States based on the immunity on him. And moreover, with so much that has been dug deep into whatever it is about Bola Tinubu, I mean, the criminal records and all of that, there was no time, and it is not on record, that Bola Tinubu was convicted of any crime and spent time in prison or in jail. Anybody could be indicted, but Bola Tinubu was not convicted. Some say, oh, he was convicted, that is why he had to give up a certain amount of money and he was allowed to go. Well, this is what it is. It is not yet clear. It is not yet clear. I don't know if Bola Tinubu will be able to finish the 8 years before he gets kicked out. Or maybe he will be kicked out maybe anytime soon. As the court, the tribunal is still on the past election, and the court is still, requesting for more evidence from opposition PDP Atiku and also Labour Party Peter Obi. On what allegation and presentation of evidence will Bola Tinubu get kicked out as president of Nigeria? This is what we are waiting to see. We don't know what will become of the judgment. We don't know if it will be effected, if Bola Tinubu will respect it. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if that judgment is even going to see the light of the day. I do not know if Bola Tinubu won the election or he did not. The onus is left on those who participated in it. I mean, those who are contesting against it, to prove in court that they won and not Bola Tinubu. Like and share this video, subscribe to this channel. See you in the next update.